Let's be clear. One more time back at you. My friends, in a day of fuzzy thinking, in a day where everybody's all over the place, where you can't get a straight answer if you paid for it, I think that we need to cut through that stuff, cut through the fat. Let's get straight to the point. Let's be clear. And that is what this broadcast is dedicated to. That's the name of this show. That's the name of what we are trying to do. Today, we're going to have a discussion on Bitcoin, but we're also going to discuss the invisible hand. For those who are into economics, that means the role of government. Should government participate in this Bitcoin or should they not? But wait a minute, some say, okay, that sounds a little esoteric, but I'm speaking about Bitcoins and Black America. I'm speaking about, is there a role? What is the role? What is the proper role? What's this cryptocurrency business about anyway? Let's be clear. To be clear today, we are going to speak to Assembly Member Clyde Vernell. Not only is he an assembly member, my God, does he wear a lot of hats. He is one of the nation's leading intellectual property attorneys. He's an entrepreneur, and in his spare time, he flies planes, and he's a community advocate. While he's flying planes, I'm still trying to jump trains, but we'll get to that one step at a time. But not only is he here today, but we are really been blessed to find a brother named Isaiah Jackson. Mr. Jackson is an author. He's the author of Bitcoin in Black America, first edition and now second edition. Mr. Jackson, why don't you put that book up while we're talking? He is the co-founder of KRBE Digital Assets Group. Cryptocurrency. Sounds good. I hope it means more to you than it means to me. Assembly Member Clyde Vernell, what is cryptocurrency?
First of all, I'm happy to be here on Let's Be Clear. So I guess I'm going to have to try to be clear. So Senator Sanders, what's interesting about what cryptocurrency is, we're all still trying to figure that out.
Okay.
Cryptocurrency is something that it's a new asset class, and one of the newest asset classes that were ever invented, at least during our lifetime. It's only been birthed in 2008, and basically what it is it's digital money. It's a way to, and the first cryptocurrency that folks know about is Bitcoin. And there are a lot of different kinds. There are a lot of different other kinds of cryptocurrencies. And people understand that, and many people have heard of this stuff, right? People heard, why is it worth anything? How is it something, how is it money? How is it cryptocurrency? How is it able to do it? But back, there was a white paper that was written by, we're not too sure who developed it. It could be one person, it could be multiple people. The paper was written by someone who penned it called Satoshi Nakamoto. And it described what we call the technology that undergirds cryptocurrency. It described what we call blockchain technology. The reason why it was new and revolutionary, first of all, the reason why this was made and created was in response to us, government failing, our system failing, our banking system failing back in 2007, 2008, with the meltdown, with the housing crisis and the meltdown with Lehman Brothers closing down and all these places closing down. So people at that time didn't trust government. They didn't trust the banking system. They didn't trust the financial system. So folks trusted technology, science, and they've trusted. And so what blockchain technology was, and what that white paper described, describe the way to have digital transactions that could not be reproduced. And that's kind of how that's exactly how blockchain started. And that's what it is. It's about being able to, it's about trust at the end of the day, digital trust, and being able to record that. I'm explaining it well. I hope I'm trying to explain it well. I don't know if I can. Why is it worth anything?
Yes, please.
Why is it worth anything? So so imagine the reason why blockchain technology is so interesting, and the reason why it should be interesting for government, is this technology is has found a way to record transactions. How does money work? So money is right now, because I think it was President Carter that took or President Ford that took America off the gold standard. I think it was Ford. Took America off the gold standard. Now our money is set by, it's called fiat currency. Our money is set by policy. So how much money is out in circulation? When do we print money? How do we print money? How much money should we be out in circulation? You see what happened. Forget about that. You can see what happened with our stimulus money. How much money should we put into the finance? How much money should we pull out? It's decided by people, right? By a different group, and it's centralized. Why is a dollar worth a dollar? Because we said so. Because we got a big army, and we will back that up. So that's fiat money. Well, what happens is when that system breaks down, and it has in 2008, it might, if we keep printing out more money or what have you, people need something to trust in. Cryptocurrency is something that, and the way the banking system works is the banks know, they have a list, and they know how much was distributed. They know who owns what, who owes what. In banking, we understand that we have the ledger. We have the information about Sanders has $1 million, and if he buys something, or $100, if he buys something, we debit that, and we show, okay, minus Sanders plus here, and the banking system keeps that information, keeps that ledger. With cryptocurrency, everybody has the information. We all do, right? That information is distributed. So the bank doesn't have the information. We all have the information from transaction number one. Now, part of the way cryptocurrency works is that in order to record that information, everybody has the opportunity to record it. Everyone has the opportunity that is part of the blockchain, that's part of the validating it, has the opportunity to validate it. If your computer validates it, you get a reward, a small percentage, a small piece. That's how more Bitcoin, or whatever the coin is, or whatever the denomination is, generally speaking, that's how more of them are distributed.
Two quick questions, and then I'm going to move to our other guest. I am reminded of that international language, Esperanza or something of that nature, that was supposed to be the universal language that we all could get into. And that I am reminded, and it didn't get on first. Do you speak Esperanza, sir? Do either of you speak Esperanza? So neither do I. I'm learning English personally. Some say not too well, but I don't. Why is this going to be different than that Esperanza experiment, assembly member?
Real quick. So what's interesting about, I tried to explain cryptocurrency. I don't know if I did a good job, Isaiah. I hope you can try to clean it up. But so what's interesting about cryptocurrency, and again, I'm not someone who's pushing one thing or the other. I'm the chair of Internet and New Technologies. I believe that it's important for people to be able to be technically literate. It's important for us to also to be able to use all the new technologies. I think that new technologies are, that's what it is. They're new. New things are new, right? So no one has a monopoly on it. I think that it's important for us to get into understand things and get there early. What's interesting about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in particular, and all these other uh, coins, is that because they don't, they're not regulated by government, because it's not regulated, because it's decentralized, anyone can participate, right? All you need is, as Brother Isaiah said, you know, an internet access and to know how, right? But when it comes to, for example, Senator, I wanted to, a couple of years ago, I wanted to buy more, I wanted to buy index funds. I wanted to invest in the market. And in order to invest in the market, and so you could download Vanguard or Charles Schwab or certain kinds of apps. In order to participate in the market, I had to have at least $10,000, or if I could try to get into lower, had to have at least $5,000. And if in order to get to certain kinds of investments, I had to be an accredited investor. At the same time, when I was looking at that, high school students were investing in cryptocurrencies at using $3, $2, $1. So the bar to get in with cryptocurrency, there is no bar really, where there was so much of a difficulty for us to become investors in traditional investments.
I'm going to tell you a H. Rap Brown story. And then I'm going to ask Mr. Jackson to give his explanation of cryptocurrency, and then I want to know about Black America. But I am reminded, and this story is for both of you guys. H. Rap Brown, the noted Black Power advocate of days gone by, told the story, and he said that the system is going to go to Black people, and the system is going to say, for every rock that you bring us, we'll give you $1. And he said Blacks will go out there, they will tear up the streets, they will tear up their home, they tear up everything. And every time they go to the system, they give them $1 and say thank you. They're gonna give them big rocks and little rocks, round ones and square ones. And when they finish and Black folk finally have all the dollars, the system said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, rocks are money now." So, so I'm I really got to watch this, that you don't tell me that cryptocurrency by the time we give our last dollar, they turn around and say, you know what, we gonna use, never mind, we gonna use dollars.
What, just before you go to Isaiah though, now look, I'm in government, I'm a lawmaker.
Yes, sir.
I'm not promoting one thing or another.
That sounds like a disclaimer.
Yes, of course, of course. And my thing, what I've been telling people is, and if we're talking to Black people, I've been telling folk to invest.
Yes.
Right. And I want people to use their investment muscles.
Okay.
And investing, to me, investing is biblical. Sowing seed. Right. I'm telling people to sow seed, and cryptocurrency is a seed. Is a seed to. It's another option to invest in. But I'm not here pushing one thing or another, and I'm telling my people to invest. Invest your money. Invest in real estate.
Let me aid you that a well-rounded portfolio is a good thing. That and this indeed may be a worthy part of an investment portfolio, that just as we depending on your age and depending on where you are, should have some stock that is aggressive growth and some stock that is medium and some that are very stable. This may be seen as perhaps part of aggressive growth, and it should be seen as a means of uh, generating wealth. And speaking of generating and generational wealth, how's that for an introduction? We have Isaiah Jackson here. Now, Brother Jackson, you got a hard job. You got to, in 10 seconds, explain what cryptocurrency is, whatever the assembly member left out, but you got 10 seconds to do that because I want to hear about what this has to do with Black folk. Surely you're not telling me for us to rip up our houses and go in there and take every rock that we can find. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Jackson?
No, well, so first, what cryptocurrency is, very simply, it's two parts. Cryptocurrency. Crypto, meaning cryptographically secure, and currency, money. So cryptocurrency is secure money. Very simple. Okay. And as far as the implication for Black people, I love that you gave the example from H. Rap Brown, where we're going to get all the rocks, and then by the time we get it, that's the currency. Well, if gold is the dollars, Bitcoin is the rocks, essentially. Because what I see are outdated investment strategies for people to grow their wealth. Because when people talk about, Black people, we need to invest, they're offering investment products that are bringing them percentages that are, in my opinion, very low and controlled. The only way they can guarantee 7% or 10% in certain index funds, mutual funds, or whatever financial product you use is because the financial system is controlled. However, with Bitcoin as a store of value, it's the best performing asset of the last 10 years, the best performing asset this year. And the reason why I'm so adamant about it is because for regular everyday people as a store of value, it's better than your savings account. Just for example, the $1,200 stimulus check that came in March, I believe, if you invested that $1,200 into anything else, the most you would have probably gotten is, good percentage, 20, 30%. But with Bitcoin, you would have made 128% already. So as a store of value, how many times do you get to double your savings in 1 year? So for Black people, the urgency is there because it's like, okay, well, we want to financially get to a point where we're viable, but we don't have the time, we don't have another 400 years to make up. And Bitcoin, to me, actually speeds that process up, not because it's a get rich quick scheme, but it's a freedom. It's a way for people to free themselves. And when everybody goes through what Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is, they always land back at that point. And once you realize that, it's sort of like the light bulb goes off, and then we go from there. So for Black people, the reason I wrote Bitcoin in Black America, a few key reasons. First reason was the Black community, as far as how the banking system and this financial industry has treated us. We don't owe this fiat system anything. We don't owe banks anything based on their racial discrimination. We don't need to give in into the inflation-based fiat currency that the Federal Reserve has basically, since 1913, decreased the value 99%. The dollar is going away. It's going to be a digital dollar. CBDCs, central bank digital currencies are coming. And the reason why Black people need to understand that aspect of it is because we have a choice to change. Before 2008, not possible. And I was in college during the recession of 2008. And if you read the book, I'd say I went from broke to broken because it was really downhill from there. And there was no backup plan to that. It was just, well, our money is worth less and we got to deal with it. Now we have that backup option, and I'm here to present that to Black people. The second big reason I want to present it to Black people is within tech and finance, the fintech industry, for some reason, we are always last to the party and we end up becoming consumers. The big tech boom of the 90s, not many Black people became millionaires. Not many Black people no Black people created Facebook, Google, any of those sites, but we are the most popular in social media. I don't want that to happen with Bitcoin. I don't want all of the industry to be created and then Black people make Bitcoin famous, so to say. So that's why I'm adamant about getting that message out. Been doing it since 2013, back when the price, one Bitcoin was worth $200, and now Bitcoin is worth 16,000. So that is a 7,900% increase if anybody has a savings account that has increased almost 8,000%, show me and I'll see if I can use that product. But for Black people, there is no better performing asset.
Well,
and I think Bitcoin
well, a
helps.
bunch of us have that. We have increased that much in debt.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, that ain't nothing. Our debt has increased far more than that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Of course, you can print as much as you want. And
No, I'm talking about our debt, our spending.
spending debt, yeah.
Let me strengthen your argument, Brother Jackson. And just for the sake of the record, if anybody didn't understand that as a joke, that was a very horrible joke that I just gave. Let me strengthen his point. The New York Federal Reserve, which is the banker's bank, that's the bank of the 1%. That's where the big guys go to talk banking and to deal with money. The New York Federal Reserve did a study that they put out in August, and their study was on the black business in the U.S. They did a study that showed that there were slightly more than 900,000 black businesses in the U.S. in March, at the beginning of March. Then COVID-19 hit, and by the end of August, there were close to 400,000 of those businesses still standing, roughly a 50% drop. Now, let's be clear about a couple more things. They said there were 900,000, but based on our population, there should have been a good 6 million or 7 million businesses at that time. So we have gone from from deficit to deficit. We've gone to a place where there are close to 400,000 businesses as of August. The New York Fed is working to update this study, mind you. They believe that by the end of the month, they will put out a new study. And I would suggest to you that those numbers are going to be horrendous. I am making a guesstimate that by the time that we get a vaccine, that we will perhaps have 200,000 black businesses throughout the U.S. still on their feet. Now we can argue, how are they on the ropes? And then we can argue, are they well positioned? Are they in the wrong industries? If you're making a argument, Mr. Jackson, that the policies and methodologies that we have pursued have not worked, that New York Fed report is your best tool, because you don't have to say, they're saying it, that it wasn't working at the beginning of the crisis. By now you are in a world of pain, and you should be singing "Nearer, My God, to Thee" if you continue that policy. How do you respond to that, sir?
Oh yeah, so data such as that, like you said, sort of proves my point. But I believe even without that data point, those actual numbers, I believe people can see it all around them. People losing their businesses, people not having money to sustain themselves during this pandemic. And in the Black community in general, if you've looked at any type of data, you would see that our median value is usually lowest or second to lowest. So, and it's stayed pretty flat since the 60s. So that data, along with others, of course, for me, helps my argument. But I don't ever want to have to say I told you so. I think that's probably the biggest goal, is I don't want to have to say I told you so, especially when I think people understand that there is something that needs to be done differently. So with that data and with others, I think the Black community could take control of their finances using Bitcoin, and not just Bitcoin, but cryptocurrency in general, and decentralized finance, which we can discuss more.
Well, even as you hold your book up so people could see it, Assembly Member Vernell, is he on track there? Where is he going off the rails, or is he on track, or is he far off?
Look, so Isaiah, from what I understand, is saying that that Black people should invest in Bitcoin. Now, we didn't talk about how much or how more or whatever, but if you look at speaking about your data point about the amount of Black businesses, but even before we get to businesses per se, Black businesses, when people were running for president, this year, there was a point where there were 27 Democratic candidates, and they all knew a statistic that was really bad for people of color. They all knew that in 20 years, first of all, they all knew today, Black families are worth less than every other racist families in America. That's not a great fact. They also all knew that in a generation, we're going to be worth much less to negative. I'm talking about the value and the worth of the Black household. We must have a culture of investment. We must invest, and we must. And simply, what does investment means? It means taking your money and putting it in things that are likely to grow.
Okay.
And cryptocurrency is one of the things that people should look into and to try to understand. But we must. The problem, Senator Sanders, is that that if the average Black household now is worth $4,000, I'm talking about what your whole life savings is worth, then we don't invest enough, right? And that's the conversation. And it's good to have this conversation about what cryptocurrency is, what blockchain technology is, what Bitcoin is. But we as a people must invest, and cryptocurrencies is one of the things that we could invest in, and one of the things that is easy to invest in. And I don't think Isaiah is telling people to take all your life savings and put it into Bitcoin, and depending where you are in your life. No, that's not responsible. That's not what we're talking about. But but to look into investing in different things and start off. You can start off small, and I guess Isaiah could talk about that. But you don't need to start off. You can invest small amounts, and young people are investing small amounts in different kinds of cryptocurrencies. But this is about, and Senator, this conversation is about awareness, and our people must invest.
Well, I'm in agreement with you, Assembly Member, that we need to do something. Every indicator coming out of the Black community is saying that we're trending in the wrong way. Whether we speak of home ownership, which is going down, we now have the home ownership that we had in 1965 at the Civil Rights Bill, and we're at the same place. Martin Luther King and generations have died and fought to get us back to the same place where we were in 65. Something wrong there. We could speak of savings. We could speak of all of these things. The study that you alluded to, sir, is saying that, or one study is saying that in roughly 20 years, we will have negative wealth, meaning that we will owe more than we are taking in. My friends, in a capitalist society, negative wealth is usually defined as slavery. You can call it what you wish. The folk who own nothing, serfdom, if you want to. If you want to be kind, we're in a type of serfdom. They own nothing but their labor, and they have to pay back. My father was a sharecropper. You're describing how the system trapped us. Every year after we worked hard, we would go there and turn into the books, which they kept. And at the end of the year, we would be told, well, you did well this year, Sanders. You only owe us this much compared to last year. And since they had the books, we were always up there saying, well, wait, I thought you said we were doing well, and we did. And they would say, you're not sassing me, are you? And at that point, we had to say, no, sir, no, sir. And, get back out to the field. So are we that far away from that? And wait a minute, Mr. Jackson, let's assume that every single thing you said is true, just for the sake of this conversation. Everyday people, what are the steps that they should do to get into any of this revolution that's out there, this financial revolution that's out? What are the steps?
All right, so let's be clear. First step, if you have any amount of money in a savings account, some of that should be invested in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. No matter your age, no matter your portfolio, it could be $1, could be $1 million. That's the first step. Second step is if you have a business, if you own a business, you can accept Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for payment. So you have the ability to actually earn Bitcoin and cryptocurrency from anybody around the world who wants to pay with it. So that is available to you as well. Third thing that I discussed, if you have a regular 9-to-5 job, you should right now be doing everything you can to implement cryptocurrency or blockchain technology into your field. For example, if you're an accountant, at some point, probably in the next 2 or 3 years, you won't even be able to be an accountant unless you know how to do crypto taxes. So if you're Black, you're actually ahead of other accountants. As soon as you say, I do crypto taxes, you're one of maybe 20 firms in America. If you're an engineer, blockchain engineers make on average 30% more than regular tech engineers because it's a new technology. If you are in the I'm sorry, I just lost my point. Oh, if you're in education, if you're in education phase, for example, if you are part of the HBCU or any college, if you're part of the endowment fund, your endowment fund should include crypto and Bitcoin because Harvard, MIT, Stanford, a list of other PWIs have done this already. Kind of flew under the radar, but this is another way for the Black community to improve. So if you right now have anything to do, if you have a job, if you have a business, it doesn't matter. You can incorporate Bitcoin and cryptocurrency into your life because you may not, as some people think, you're not going to get rich overnight, but you will have the education to profit off of an industry that is growing every day. And for those who are entrepreneurs, if you want to start a business, just a random business right now, and you say, hey, I don't even like Bitcoin. I don't want anything to do with it, but I understand other people do want it. You could get something like a Bitcoin ATM. ATM kiosk where people pay with cash and get Bitcoin. I own a couple myself. You can just, if you, for example, the gold rush in the 1800s, the richest people were not the ones who got the gold, it was the ones who sold the shovels. So even if you hate Bitcoin, sell the shovels. If you know that people are going to use it, create a business where people would use an exchange, a Bitcoin ATM, some sort of service that way. So right now, like I said, let's be clear, every single person listening can get involved in this industry. Bitcoin is not for some hooded white male in his mom's basement that is coding away and hacking everybody. That's not what Bitcoin is. That's what it started out as because it is very tech-based. However, if you talk to people today, if you ask them to describe to you, how does Wi-Fi work? They cannot give you a technical explanation, but they know I put in this password, I have connection. That's where we're getting to with Bitcoin. You don't really need to know all of the technical small parts of it, but you do know how to download an app. You do know how to read instructions, 2 or 3 steps, and you can have crypto today. So all of that is possible today. And if you are a big institutional investor, or if you have a business that has a corporate treasury, Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy, they just moved $425 million. They bought $425 million worth of Bitcoin in their corporate treasury. Square by Jack Dorsey, they just bought $155 million on their corporate treasury. PayPal just introduced Bitcoin into their actual platform. You can buy 10% of their clients can buy Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, other cryptocurrencies today. So even if you feel like, hey, I'm an institutional investor, I have more money to deal with, I don't want the risk that comes along with it. That risk has been studied and it's been analyzed, and the brightest minds in the world have asserted that it's actually riskier to keep your money in Bitcoin or in cash because Bitcoin is a better store of value. So again, just to drive it home, Bitcoin is for everybody. That's the best part about it. Our current financial system is exclusionary. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is as inclusionary as it gets. It's so inclusionary that if you have the technical gall, you can create your own currency. That's how much of Pandora's box has been opened at this point. Not saying it'll be successful, but it's just possible. So those possibilities allow, in my opinion, Black people to flourish in a different financial system.
Well, let me underline your point, sir. A couple of points. You had mentioned the California gold rush, and most of the people, many of the people who made the real wealth, never went into the hills. They just, they simply didn't. Levi Strauss made their money, and everybody was wearing their jeans at one point and still are. Levi Strauss made their money because their jeans, the equipments that they had were heavier duty and wouldn't rip as much, and people wanted those type of clothing when they're out there. And one of the biggest hotel owners in San Francisco was a Black woman at that time. She one of the most successful. She catered to all of those people who had come to the uh, gold rush, and they needed a place to stay. She gave them a place to stay. Maybe this is a smart thing. At the end of World War II, Japan and Europe, for that matter, was devastated, was ruined, and their economy in tatters. One of the smartest things that the Japanese did was when they built all of their factories and everything was new, and everything was built from scratch. So they did not use any of the old technologies. They used all of the newer technologies, and they were able to leapfrog into the 20th century by just bypassing the old. In fact, they borrowed heavily from the U.S. There was a professor called Demings who was an efficiency expert, and he was trying to teach it in the U.S. and he didn't get on first base. The Japanese took him in, and he taught them how to be the most efficient system. And they mastered these new technologies and new methodologies, and were able to for a long while give the Yankee a run for his literal money. So in one sense, many people have said that for the Black community, they have to come up with something new. They have to leapfrog into the next technology, whatever that is. Many different communities in the U.S., and then I'm coming to you, Clyde. Many communities in the U.S. have discovered their niche. The Indian community has gone into hotels, and they have really owned most of the American hotels. Other communities have gone and owned dry cleaners. Other communities have gone and owned the dry goods stores and things of this nature. And the Black community, for good and bad, has no niche. There is no one niche. At the beginning, at the end of emancipation, at the beginning of emancipation, we had niche into several. We were the barbers, and we were all of these things. We lost our niche for many different reasons. Is this a good strategy that we can pursue, assembly member, to try to find a niche on something and build from there? And if that's the case, could blockchain technology be part of this niche?
So you're talking about a niche for a business service kind of niche, or something to generate business or what have you. But cryptocurrency, as Isaiah's speaking about it, what it is, it's a form of invest for the most part. We talk about the investment piece of it and the use of it. Now, keep in mind, cryptocurrency is still a great store of value. It's still a great asset. It's going to take some time before it becomes a currency, but what he's saying is that we should use it, and what he's saying is that we should invest, and what he's saying, and which is true, we should. What's great about cryptocurrency for the most part that is permissionless. We don't need people don't need permission to use it, to invest in it, to buy it, to validate it, right? So there's no, so it's so there's no, we don't have to apply We don't have to go to Senator Sanders, who sits as the chair of banking in New York. So you represent the most centralized, the most the most regulated space of finance, of financial space in the world, in New York, right? You're the chair of banking in New York, and we're talking about cryptocurrency. We shouldn't be talking about this stuff, right? That's we. It's crazy that government is speaking about it, but no, it's not. What's interesting is this year, not this year, but me working on trying to find the right level of use of regulation for cryptocurrency is an oxymoron, right? It's an oxymoron to say, how could we properly regulate or properly bring this unregulated thing in that at its core, it's decentralized. But what's interesting about it that it's not going anywhere. It's growing. It's getting stronger. It's getting bigger. More and more people are using it. More and more countries are using it much better than we are. More and more states are trying to get more bold with respect to cryptocurrency. So we should not be left behind when this is something that is open to us, open to everyone. We cannot complain and say, when it comes to cryptocurrency, when it comes to technology, we cannot say, oh my gosh, 10 years from now, oh man, they left, as Isaiah said, oh, they left us out. Oh my gosh, we can't get in. This is something that they don't let black folk in. No one's stopping us from getting in, right? There's no gatekeeper. So if we don't, and same thing with technology, right? When we're saying that we weren't in this boom, or we weren't in blah, 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 we weren't in, investors are not giving us money and da, da, da. Ain't nobody stopping you from starting something. Right? Ain't nobody stopping from it. And nothing is supposed to be easy. Nothing's guaranteed to be easy, but we have to start. We have to invest. When it comes to blockchain, when it comes to cryptocurrency, very easy for us to get it. Now, we're not saying, as Isaiah said, he didn't say take out X amount of money or what have you. Start small, learn about it, see what it's like, talk to other people. But we have to. This conversation is a great conversation. This show is talking about how to investing and different options and different ways to do so, and cryptocurrency is definitely one of them. Now, just look at what people with money do. If you're not sure about it, the New York Stock Exchange has a crypto exchange. NASDAQ has a crypto exchange. If we looked at in 2017, I think the Chicago commodities thing. I don't even know all the words of it, but they're the ones that the what is it?
Exchange.
Well,
Yeah, CBOE or the CME, Chicago Mercantile. Yeah.
The Chicago Mercantile Exchange was the first one that came out to start exchanging in cryptocurrencies. Senator Sanders, when you took us to China, I spoke to the central bank in China. That was about 2 years ago. When China was coming out, was the central bank was working on, not only did they, first they were, 3 years ago, they were totally against Bitcoin, totally against stuff. But 2 years ago, or last year 2 years ago, we go there and they're working on their own digital currency. What a big turnaround. So countries are doing this stuff. If countries are doing this stuff, Jamie Dimon, the head of your friend, Senator, the head of JP Morgan Chase, the guy that I remember 3 years ago that he said, oh, it's a bunch of malarkey. Don't do it. Complete 180. Now JP Morgan has a division in crypto. So if money people are investing in it, the people that you don't trust are investing in it, come on now, people.
Yeah, and let me throw another point in there. For the first time in history, usually the people are told by regulators and banks, you don't have a choice. This is what you have to do. For the first time ever, Bitcoin, the people have told them, you don't have a choice. You're going to come into our industry. We're just waiting for you, or we're waiting for you to stop lying. Because some of the people you named, I know for a fact they were working on cryptocurrencies while in the media saying it was bad, because that drove the price down and they could accumulate more. I think Jamie Dimon said something at Davos, and it drove the price of Bitcoin from $6,000 to $3,000 in 2 days. And that was when people actually.
That's when he bought.
That,
Strike that from the record. I didn't say
I'm
that.
just saying that is an example of 3 years ago people listened to him, and now Ray Diallo said the same thing yesterday. Price went up 4%. So nobody cares really what big bankers or big investment people are saying anymore. People are starting to say to them, you're going to enter this industry. It's up to you to figure it out. So big 180 there. You're right. Definitely.
Now, another point though, Senator, is that is as business people and as people, entrepreneurs, small businesses, or what have you, as people, we should make it as easy to accept and transfer value as possible, right? There should be very little friction in between that. What's messed up for a lot of small Black businesses is that there are many small Black businesses, Senator, in our areas that only accept cash. How are you in 2020 going to be a cash only business, right? So we need to make sure for our businesses and for our people that we make as little friction to be able to accept value. That means that our businesses better in 2020 must accept credit cards. They must, but go a step further. They must accept the digitized transfer of funds like PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, on and on and on. Take it a step further, they must in the future accept cryptocurrencies. I myself went in, and I did a test, and you can see there's a video that I have on YouTube where I said, you know what? Let me take my Bitcoin and see where I could spend my Bitcoin in New York. This was like last year, 2 years ago. And let me see if I could go buy a pizza for $1 with Bitcoin. So I did a Google search, and I saw that there are not that many places. Still today, there are not that many places that accept cryptocurrency, even in New York State. So I went to Brooklyn, and I went to go to the place, and they accept Bitcoin. This was in downtown Brooklyn. And I got to the counter, and Senator, when I got to, they actually did, accept Bitcoin for pizza as purchase. But you know what? I couldn't do it. I couldn't spend my Bitcoin.
Why?
Because in my own mind, but because to me, I didn't view Bitcoin as currency. I don't view it as a dollar. If I have $1, I have confidence that I don't feel like tomorrow that dollar is going to be worth 125. I don't feel like next week that dollar is going to be worth, in my hand, that dollar is going to be worth even 120. Right? That dollar to me is going to kind of stay a dollar. So I'll exchange that easily for something, blah, 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 blah. But if that same dollar tomorrow could be $2, I'm not going to spend that dollar on a pizza. But okay, so that's why I didn't spend
I see your point. I thought you were about to contradict yourself, that I was trying to hear you out.
No, so what I'm saying, so what's interesting about Bitcoin is that I don't know if Bitcoin is going to be currency. I don't know if Bitcoin is going to be the thing that's going to be currency. I did have other coins or other cryptocurrencies that I probably would use to exchange that don't have the fluctuation that Bitcoin has. But one of the things that's interesting for us is looking at, and there are other things called stable coins that are cryptocurrencies that are connected to, let's say, the dollar. Something called Tether, I believe, that's connected to the dollar, other kinds of things that would be easier to exchange digitally. All I'm saying is that our businesses should make it easier for them to accept value and should be able to accept these digital platforms that exchange money, and then one step further should be able to accept cryptocurrencies. Isaiah, what do you think?
Well, wait. Right before you, Isaiah, I'm going to tell you how to do it, Assembly Member Vanel. How government can play a role. Now, if you believe that Bitcoin and other things are the way, then what you can do under you as an assembly member, and you would have to write this up. I may carry it in the Senate, mind you, but if you wrote it up, uh, but the idea is that you would aid small business. Not, you couldn't say this group or that group, because if you do that, we all be brought before the court of Trump, and he would have fun with us, call us racist. All we want to do is stop being poor, and now we're racist. So under those under those conditions, if you said you want to aid small business and made sure that there was a grant to allow them to buy, to make sure that they can do credit cards, to make sure that they can do electronic transfers, to make grant to move them into that, that would be a step towards what you're speaking about, sir. You could also try to find if there is a way of having that grant include a cryptocurrency. Now, those things you can use government to do. And I will throw that out so that you could hopefully write it up and I can put my name on it and say it was my idea. Now, brother Jackson, he asked you, what do you think, sir?
Oh yeah. So your synopsis is perfect, because technically Bitcoin incentivizes saving. The fiat currency incentivizes spending, because your dollar is worth more today than it is tomorrow. It's constantly decreasing in value. So it actually incentivizes you spending money, and the velocity of money actually helps the economy. So that's the incentive of fiat currency. The incentive for Bitcoin is saving, because your purchasing power is always more tomorrow. So you always think to yourself, hey, I bought a burrito in 2014 that's worth the price of a used car now, because it incentivizes saving. I should have saved that 0.7 Bitcoin or whatever it was back then. And 0.7 Bitcoins right now is like $10,000, $12,000. So that's what I'm trying to explain to people, is that Bitcoin as a store of value could never be used as currency ever. You could never buy coffee with it, never buy pizza, and it would still work, because in my opinion, it is a better store of value than gold. And gold is currently worth 40 times more than Bitcoin. So there's a lot of market cap to catch up to. Gold's market cap is, I believe, 7 to 9 trillion. Bitcoin's market cap just passed 300 billion, not even close. So we, as a store of value, Bitcoin could be purely a store of value with a stable coin on top of it. And because Bitcoin can be verified, much like gold used to be before the Bretton Woods Agreement in 71, Bitcoin could just literally just be the world reserve. And if you think about how much money is circulating, and Bitcoin, how much the market cap is now, you can only imagine. Just to give you an example, if Bitcoin gets 5% of gold's market cap, one Bitcoin would be worth $250,000. So even if you can never spend it, Bitcoin works as a store of value. It already has, and it will continue to, because you can actually audit how much Bitcoin there is. You can't audit how much gold. They just found new gold in Australia. They just found some more gold somewhere else. People say there's only a certain amount of land, so real estate is scarce. But technically, that land could be cut off from other people, and you can create scarcity. Some of these people who have a lot of power, they created scarcity with diamonds. Diamonds are actually almost worthless, but they created scarcity. Oh, we only have this amount, so now the price goes up. Bitcoin has true scarcity. There's only 21 million that will ever be created. Already 18.7 million have been created. So if you have, this is basic econ 101, if you have rising demand with a flattening supply, price goes up. That is the network effect of Bitcoin. And as a store of value, it is better than gold, because right now, if I wanted to get $1 million worth of gold, there's a process you have to go through a third party. You have to trust them as the custodian, and then they take out a fee to give you your own gold. None of that happens with Bitcoin. I can control my own private keys. With a piece of paper, I can hold $1 million. If I want to send it to somebody else, I can send it in a matter of seconds or minutes. Somebody just sent, I believe, $120 million for a $4 fee last week. That is impossible in the banking industry. I've never seen that. I've never even heard of that. So again, it's a better store of value than gold. So if it never is ever a medium of exchange or a unit of account, it still has succeeded. So for that point, yes, you are right. And to your idea, small grants for small business, I'm actually working on something called Blockchain Project. Literally, small businesses getting investment with Bitcoin or fiat currency in order to basically broaden their horizon of who can invest. Because getting into decentralized finance, the reason it's so important, currently, if you want a loan for a business or for a house or for a car, you have to sign up, you have to put your information, you have to have the collateral, and there are some other things in there that could trip you up as a Black person, maybe zip code or credit history. However, what decentralized finance actually gives the opportunity is that you could use your cryptocurrency as collateral and get cash loans based on that. It's already happening. It's called DeFi or decentralized finance, where the only qualification is whether or not you have the money. If you have $100,000 in Bitcoin, you can get a $50,000 cash loan today on certain sites. So if Black people are accumulating Bitcoin and we have a large amount of it over time, that can be the catalyst to get the loans and the cash payments that we need in order to purchase goods that we haven't before. Because as collateral, if you have that's all finance should be, is do you have the money or not? And that's what this is promising is, oh, I have the Bitcoin here. Let me get this loan. Even down to, you could get small micro loans for businesses. If you own a certain amount of Bitcoin, you can actually get a cash loan right now, today, as we speak. So the promise of this in the future is that Black people not only can take part in the industry, we can create the industry I just described to you. Literally, why isn't there more Black-owned crypto companies? They just don't know about it. And if you have Black-owned crypto companies who are creating these decentralized financial products, not only would you enrich yourself and your family, you would actually help people get access to money that they previously didn't have before, which is, to me, is the goal, is to enrich yourself and enrich others. So it's a lot to it, but you are correct. And that idea you just threw out is perfect. I actually have written the Black Caucus about this idea twice through a couple friends, but I haven't heard any word, but this may be the perfect opportunity for something like that to occur.
You just wrote to the wrong caucus, sir. You writing to DC, you should have
the guy at Forbes, the guy at Forbes, that's who he told me to write to. That's what I did. But this, I actually said this when I got the invite, that you will probably be better because you are in New York and dealing with you are the chairman of the banking. So that is actually a better letter to send to you.
Well, my job, and then I see Clyde has a point, but I want both of you to be able to give your addresses and ways that people can get in touch with you. We're going to do that in a moment, but I wanted to tell you, sir, or ask you, Mr. Jackson, are you familiar with the concept of public bank, a public bank?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It sounds, public bank is cutting edge too. It sounds that there may be a nexus, a point of a sweet spot where both of these ideas can come together. And if that's the case, you need to speak to Ivan Young in my office, sir, to become more familiar with public bank and to familiarize him with the idea of cryptocurrency, because Assembly Member Vanell, if we're going for the 21st century, sir, why stop at that concept of public bank? Why not take in the next wave? Why not? Why not? If you're gonna be edgy, be edgy. Why not? Why not? What, as President Trump taught us, what do you have to lose?
I was just about to say, I hate to bring up a Trump quote, but really, what do you, I mean, I know I'm speaking to a bank called Silvergate. They're actually the biggest crypto bank in America, and they're the only ones that would allow crypto companies for a long time. And their balance sheet went crazy simply because they got all of the crypto companies to come there. And that is, like I said, for the Black community, Black-owned banks or a public bank run with a Black board. Why not? I mean, what are we waiting for, really? because in my studies and what I've done, waiting for somebody to give you an answer, you're gonna be waiting forever. I'd rather
400 years so far we've been waiting.
I was gonna say you're gonna be waiting. I'd rather ask for I'd rather not ask for anything and just do it, and then we'll see from there.
Well, speaking of a person who believes in just doing it and not asking for permission, Assembly member, you had several points to raise.
Yeah, so first, I am in government. I am in New York State, so I do have to recognize that our Department of Financial Services, DFS, who Senator Sanders had a very close relationship with, we were, whether we like it or not, they were the first in the world to come up with some sort of crypto regulations. We call it license. And again, at that time, it was a time where actually I was working for Senator Sanders at the time, and I was trying to work on this stuff. But at that time, people didn't understand. Some people still don't understand, but didn't understand about how to buy Bitcoin on exchanges. And there was a misappropriation of some Bitcoin on one of the exchanges. And we wanted to make sure, New York State wanted to make sure that investors were properly protected. That was 5 years ago. So there's still something, we're still dealing with the bit license in New York in a world that changed a lot, right? At that time, there were just a handful of different kinds of tokens. Now there are, I don't know how, a lot has changed. So we have to we go back and look at the bit license. But what's interesting about cryptocurrency is now, Brother Jackson, you're from North Carolina originally, then when you went to LA. But in New York, we got a lot of folk that look like us. But then even if you come up to us, we may not understand you because we got a lot of folk from a lot of places in New York. A lot of us are from a lot of places. And my people in particular are from Haiti. So what we do is we send money to our people all the time. We call them remittances. Mm-hmm. So we send money all the time to Haiti and to the diaspora. And there are a lot of people from the Caribbean, from Africa, from other countries that send a lot of money back and forth. And sending that money, brother, it costs a lot of money to send money. So whether it's Western Union, whether it's, there's a lot of local ones, a lot of, native ones or what have you, they charge us a lot of money to send that money. And to get that money is kind of, you have to go to a certain place to get the money and make sure it's blah, blah, blah. And they got to check it and see whatever. And then you got to, some of these money transmitters, you got to pay on both ends. Sometimes the sender and the receiver got to get their piece. Cryptocurrency would be interesting where you cut out that middleman and can send that money directly and have some more of that money. And there are different platforms that try to do that. So that's another interesting piece that we have to look into, Senator, about that money transmittal between countries.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Haiti. There's an organization called Hope for Haiti. I actually just sort of introduced them to how cryptocurrency could work for them. But remittances was the biggest thing we talked about the entire time. They were saying people who send money here, it costs too much. And like I just stated, somebody sent $100 million for $4 as a fee. I don't think you can send $20 for $4 through MoneyGram or Western Union. So remittances as a market is maybe the biggest aspect of how cryptocurrency works, not just with individuals, but also interbank transfers, the ability to send money instantly and to update your balance sheet instantly, not wait weeks or days. So yes, you are correct there. And I love that you brought up remittances because Black people in America are not all American, so to say. You have Haitian, you have Jamaican, all over the world. So remittances matter to us a lot more than,
Wait, hold on. You saying I'm not Black? No. Is that what you saying? Hey, hold on.
We don't do discrimination, Brother Jackson.
No. I said
race, creed, color, ethnic, and whatever else you got out there.
Oh no, I said originally for American, but yeah, this is great. Yeah, like I said, remittances are a perfect use case.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, go a step further. For both of y'all, thanks to being head of banking, I am in touch with the banks in Africa. And the largest banks in Africa, you know, I was supposed to be this year. I would have been meeting with the largest one is in Nigeria, and I was supposed to meet with them to speak of many different things, including what's called South trade, and this is what you're speaking about, Mr. Jackson. South trade. The North is considered. Think of the equator. Most of the richer nations on the planet are north of the equator. What used to be the Soviet Union, Russia, China, well, parts of China, etc. The U.S., England, etc. The poorer nations are in the south. The richer nations, the trading that the richer nations have are just taking the wealth of the south. One way of dealing with this is through the South trading with the South at fairer exchange rates. So what you are saying or stumbling into perhaps is considered South trade. Just remittances and things of that nature are just but one small piece of it. And if we could figure out ourselves, cutting out the middleman who says that $4 is or whatever it is the price, maybe we could do it for $1 and perhaps contribute and charge $2 and contribute one of those dollars to economic development or what there's a host of possibilities, even with crypto, that we have to explore. And I'm very much willing to use these conversations that we have to help people explore just what is possible. Your book, now watch this, get ready, this is the plug now. Your book, which you are now holding up, is there you go. He's got his cue, Clyde. His book, which he is holding up, may be a very useful thing to start a conversation with many of these people. How can these people get a copy of your book, Mr. Jackson? And how can they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So you can visit Amazon, and Bitcoin in Black America is there. Also, bitcoininblackamerica.com, where you can exclusively buy the second version as well as the first. And the best way to contact me is on Twitter at BitcoinZay, or on Bitcoin in Black America, you can send me an email.
Now, Bitcoin Zay. Now, what does that? Slow it down, brother. You talking to a semi-literate Bitcoiner here. One more time with that.
Yes. So you can get the book on bitcoininblackamerica.com. It's available on Amazon. And to contact me directly, the best place is on Twitter at BitcoinZay, which is just shortened of my first name. And you can also contact me on the website via email.
All right. Now, Assembly Member Vanell, I have the same question for you. I'm working, man. I'm working. Work with me. Now, the Brother Jackson, he did say that the Assembly Member did point out that he used to work for me. He quickly outgrew me politically, and I'm very proud of that. What I'm not proud of is he quickly outgrew me financially and did not teach me his secrets. So while he is flying planes, I am still in relative squalor, which I hold against him, but that's all right. Not to bias anyone's view of you, sir. How can they get in touch with you, Assembly Member?
Isaiah, first of all, don't believe. First of all, Isaiah, look. First of all, can we afford this bow tie, please? I'm looking. Come on now. I got a polo on, bro. Come on, man. And look, and then think about the preparation he took to put this show on. Is that a specially made banner behind you, Senator? I mean,
so all you're pointing out is conspicuous consumption, sir, where I wear all that I own. These are my investments. Surely there must be a better way. It's depreciating. I got a hole in my sock, so it's rapidly depreciating. And I cannot transfer this to an airplane. Can I buy your airplane with my bow tie, Brother Vidal? Well, maybe with 2 or 3 of them. But brother Vanel, how do the people get in touch with you?
So listen, I'm an assembly member for the 33rd Assembly District. So you can find me on easy ways on social media. Find me on all the platforms. Clyde, first name, last name, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. You can email me, vanelc at nyassembly.gov. And you can call my office, 718-473-2333. But the best way is catch me on socials. That's the easiest way. And I'll get back to you myself directly.
Now, Brother Jackson, if you have not picked up on this one, then maybe you don't need to write books, but we have fun on this show. We really do, and it doesn't take away from anything for me to tell everybody that Clive Vanell is one of the smartest guys out. Well, I'll do it this way. One of the smartest guys I know. Maybe I need to get out more, but he is one of the smartest guys that I know. And I actually do get out a lot, and I have met just about every big name that there is out there in the world of banking, in the world of, you pick the world I've met. This is one of the smartest. You would do well to anybody would do well to pick his brains on several different things. He's one of those Renaissance men who's good in a lot of different things. But I also believe, Brother Jackson, that you are one of those type also. And I believe that smart people really should know one another. That who knows how we're going to work with each other. This time you're on my show, next I'll be on yours. Then all of us will be working for Clyde after a while. Bitcoin bondage, but that's all right. Just pay me well, brother. Just pay me well. Under those conditions, I am really glad to have had the pleasure of meeting you, Brother Jackson. I have the feeling that we are going to do much more work in the near future. That I think you're on to something, if the truth is told. I think that you really are on to something, and people need to realize that they need to have a broad portfolio. They need to have a little bit of everything. And what we have is not working. It's not working. It's not working for the majority. There's always that 1% that seem to, whatever. I mean, I don't know how they do it, but I obviously don't know how they do it, but they do. So I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the 99%. I'll be kind and talk about the 70%. It's not working. We are going backwards. We're not going forward. We have to. It was Albert Einstein that gave you the saying that you all been using. The definition of doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different results is insanity. That's Albert Einstein who said it. We need to stop being insane. We need to start saying, okay. Malcolm X taught us. He said, if you're playing cards and a person is winning all the time, they're not winning. And if you're losing all the time, you're not losing. He's telling you that the game is fixed. Under those conditions, we need to rethink and say, wait a minute. We've been playing this game for 400 years, and we are not there. Therefore, there's something about this game itself that we need to question. And we need to cut through. Watch this, Clyde. This is why I should be elected. Nah, nobody will vote for me. We need to cut through fuzzy thinking. We need to cut through the fat of foolishness of just regurgitating people's thoughts. We need to get to clarity. In fact, we need to be clear, and that's why this show has been called Let's Be Clear. I'm State Senator James Sanders Jr., and I want to thank again my guests for being here, and we are going to be clear in the near future. One of our future shows that we're going to have, 20% of Black men, 19% actually, voted for President Trump. we're going to explore why these people voted for Trump. We're going to be clear, and we're going to have some of them on the show and defend, well, give their view. And that's not defense. We're not attacking. Give their view on why they did it, because on this show, we believe in clear thinking. Let's be clear. Thank you very much. Thank the guests. Thank the audience. I look forward to working with you all. God bless you.